Show me a market that's not busy.
I've been in, the roofing industry over 10 years. I'm like, I feel like I have my black belt in the roofing industry. Apparently he got in trouble for something because collections was calling me. I'm like, no, you got the wrong black belt roofing. I'm in Colorado.
Do you feel like we have too many roofers?
Yes. I think a lot of these contractors that relied on storm work, it's going to be a tough road in the next 5 years. But I just think there's so many companies that aren't run well. And who wants to work for that when you can just go do it yourself?
For me, like receptionist is the money well spent. I'm saving money what you're paying on a receptionist. And I would argue with anyone that you're not saving, it's costing you not to have receptionist.
Just copy them, man. Like there's so much free info on the web.
Black belt roofing.
You're a busy man, buddy.
How are you, man?
I'm doing great, man. Yourself?
Living the dream. Appreciate you.
Yeah, buddy. All you got to do is a contest, man, and you'll keep your guys spinning plates for the next like 5, 6 weeks.
What do you mean?
Oh man, Luis was telling me he's like, man, I got so many text messages over the weekend, like, hey, I need this, I need that. Can I meet with Demetria this day?
Yeah. I definitely love the response this time around because in the past, wherever I do, like, with a directory program, so I think some of ideas we gave people, they were brilliant ideas. Like, I'm like, everyone needs this video. I would go and interview someone and we'll share results and how easy it is to make. And you teach people, and out of 100, 3 people might do it. I'm like, how can you not do it? It's such a good idea. Yeah. What is it? What do you think the reason why contractors are not acting on obvious working ideas? Because if you look, you know who told me recently? It was Cole, contractor from North Carolina. He said that he followed Monarch Roofing and trying to kind of copycat them everything they do and trying to reverse engineer what they do for marketing, huge company, 40-50 million dollar, and then they're like, content. He's like, what do you mean content? How do you make content, right? And then he started making content and he started getting jobs. I'm like, oh shit, that works, right? And I tell people all the time, you might be the only person in town with a YouTube channel. Like I just right before you, I talked to the contractor somewhere in the Midwest, small town. He said that, oh, we have like 30 contractors. It's very busy here. Town has like 40,000 people. And we have 30 contractors. I'm like, buddy, it's like that everywhere. It's just the scale, right? Like,
Everywhere, man.
yeah, Minneapolis has you know, 3,000 contractors. Yeah, we have a bigger city. Dallas have like 10,000, but they're even bigger city. Every market is show me a market that's not busy. Like every one of them.
Well,
But you can be the only one that stands out. The only one different, the only one that people remember.
just with the limited amount of stuff that I've started doing, when I started, your program about 6 months ago, now I go into gas stations or like certain places for coffee and they're like, I've seen you before. They're like, oh, black belt roofing. And I'm like, okay, well, that's working, and it's just kind of weird because you're like, all right, it's hitting people because you might not get calls on certain things, but people are seeing you. So I'm like, man, and I feel like it's this with contractors. It's the same thing with people who are like, "Hey, I need to lose weight. I need to do this. I need to do that." They go and they do all this research and like, "Okay, now I know the best CrossFit plan or I know the best hit plan." But they never do it. It's like, man, until you pick up a weight, nothing's gonna change. I remember the first time I did a video and I must have did it 20 times. I'm like, I really look that stupid. I really sound that bad. But I kept doing it because I heard you talk. You're like, man, just do it. Just do it. And like all the other contacts, like, yeah, you're gonna suck at first, but learn and just get better and get better and get better.
Well, I hate all my videos. It takes me honestly a day. I published a video today from 6 months ago. It was a Arizona roofing market like podcast. We filmed it. Somehow it never got published. And I published the 6 month old. Usually I'm telling you, it takes me 24 hours to hate my video because I already know I could do better. And then this video, I hate everything about it. But it's a 30-minute podcast with the two business owners talking about the Arizona market. I hate my hair. I hate how I talk. I'm like, were you drinking night before? Because your energy is like absolute. Like, I'm asking questions like I'm trying to remember what was happening there because I hate it. But I think we evolve as a content creators, as a business owners, as a gym junkies, like in everything you do. Like if you look at the picture from 5 years ago, you should be surprised if, especially if you're improving every day, right? But it's like that.
Agree.
I wanna start with your journey. So you were one of those people who were passionate about something, and you're like, I'm gonna name my company after my passions. How
All right.
how did you come up with a black belt? Did you have any hesitation? Did you think it's not gonna work? Did you have any doubts?
I'm be honest, I didn't care what other, what certain people thought. I just knew that, not trying to give you a plug, but from watching your video and then, also Dustin Bigler, rest his soul, and Marcus over at Apple, they told me they're like, who remembers people's last names? He's like, when everybody started doing business names, everybody did their last name because in a small town, you would know that last name. So it made sense. But like we're such different companies now, like with social media and whatnot. I didn't want a last name. And I was like, what am I passionate about? I'm passionate about jujitsu. And I said the reason why I feel I can correlate that is I've been in, the roofing industry over 10 years. I'm like, I feel like I have my black belt in the roofing industry, and I also have a black belt in jujitsu. So I just married them together, and I said, hey, discipline. And our motto is, we submit to no roofing challenge. So
No, I love it. I love it. I personally love your name. I was just curious how you came up with it. Did you feel that you might get pushbacks, or did you have any hate? Did you have any like funny jokes, or did anybody did not like it?
my wife's the one that actually came up with it. We had a couple other ones. She had come up with Roof Daddy, and I said, no, that doesn't sound good. And then she came up with a black belt, and the I've never had any pushback from it. Most of the people, though, they'll try to tell me like, "Oh, my son, my 14-year-old nephew is a black belt in karate," and it's like, "No, I don't do karate. It's not karate. It's not taekwondo. No disrespect, but I'm like, it's not the same thing." That's the biggest thing that I get, but I've never had anybody, make fun of it or anything like that.
Well, uh, you mentioned Roof Daddy. One of our students just named his company Roof Daddy in Atlanta, and we loved it. Like he he went for it, and he already made like custom shirts, and we're like my entire team here. We're cracking up jokes like no, he's not. But I like when people go bold, because guess what? Roof Daddy will be remembered. Like, there's gonna be 1 Roof Deity. I don't think you're gonna have 10 of those names. I mean, there's probably gonna be some copycats or, variations. What about you, Blackback, Belt Roofing? Any, copycats yet? Any similar names?
So there's one other roofing company in there in Texas, and his name is Black Belt Roofing as well. There's no other Black Belt Roofing in Colorado. When I first started, like I kept getting all these messages from like Texas and like, all these cold calls from Texas. But once I finally like branded myself, I haven't seen any other Black Belt Roofing. I'm sure there's probably a couple now, but nothing in Colorado that I've seen.
What was the text messages about?
Oh man, suppliers and YouTube ad or not YouTube ads, Facebook ads, Google ads, and then also like apparently he got in trouble for something because collections was calling me. I'm like, no, you got the wrong black belt roofing. I'm in Colorado.
Also, it was about the account, so it was not a roofing company who was calling you, it was the company was trying to collect from roofing company.
Yeah, exactly. Exact- I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm good. I'm paid up, guys.
So he submitted to the death. Wow. Did you ever find out? Did you ever do research what happened to him and like was the story there?
Well, he's still in business because like I looked at the website because for the longest time, it would put his above mine. And when I would type in black belt roofing, but now I type it in and he's still in business. I think it's in Houston or some part of Texas.
You know what? People don't think about it, but that's number one reason not to get a generic name because
Mhm.
it happens so often. So, like, there is a variety of generic names that's super popular. Apex roofing, Aspen roofing, all of those, right? So you're gonna have like 10, 15, almost in every state, seems like.
Yeah.
There's so many. But what people don't realize, if you name your company, like we have several Apexes. So I remember I visited Apex Roofing, I wanna say in Houston, Texas or Dallas, Texas, and the guy was getting one-star review for Apex Roofing in Florida. So there's apparently bad Apex Roofing in Florida, like 50, $60 million company with a lot of complaints. But people go, on Google, give you one-star review, and they see another Apex, and people are lazy. They're not gonna do the research.
Mhm.
And he was so pissed, like, what's happening? He was considering change his name. And I mean, if you name your company like Roof Tiger or something like very unique, you're not gonna get that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree
So,
completely.
uh, talk to me about your market. Talk to me. So you've been in the industry for 10 years before you started the company, you said?
Yeah, so I've been in the industry now, what's it going on? Fif fif 15 years? God, I can't even do math today. I got in the industry in 2009. So, I worked for a large storm restoration company. I came from my background was, when I was a kid, I did construction, but it was more concrete construction and welding. I never did roofing. I didn't know anything about it, but I was a chef and I was working in a restaurant and one of my ex-girlfriend's brother-in-law actually worked for a large restoration company, and I saw his lifestyle and the money that he made, and I'll be honest, I mean, the first thing I saw was like, "Okay, he's got a lifestyle that he can actually take time off, and he's making money," and I knew that I sucked at sales, and, to learn how to start a business was like, "Okay, I need to know how to do sales," and I just really fell into it. I asked him to take me out one day. He showed me how to knock a door in Colorado. I was terrified. Don't even think I made words. And then a storm hit in Austin, Texas, and he said, "Hey, come on out here with me. Check it out. You'll know if it's going to work for you for in the next week or so." And so I put everything in my Nissan Altima, put down the back seat, threw on the ladder, and went out there, and I made it work somehow. The first roof I actually got on in Texas, I got stuck, and he had to come and save me.
What happened?
Man, I got on a steep pitch, so it was about a 10-12 pitch, and, getting up it was no problem, but then, like, when I had to get down, I didn't know how to get down because I was sliding, and so I asked him if he could hold his ladder, and he was just dying laughing, but long story short, he signed that one up for me, and then, I took it from there and ran.
Wow. Is he still in business?
Yeah, that company's still in business, Infinity Roofing and Restoration.
Do you feel like we have too many roofers?
Yes, 100% yes, but I think the positive part is this. I think that I think across the country, especially in Colorado, with the way that insurance is changing and with the way that homeowners are being educated, I think that you're going to start to see a lot more roofing companies dropping off, or at the very least, scaling down because I don't think they're going to have the sustainability with these 2% deductible. We're seeing 2%, 1% deductibles. We're seeing 1% deductibles with ACV coverage. So, once it hits 11 years, it's ACV roof with farmers and Allstate. I can't remember the other guys, but, so you're looking at an out of pocket expense for the homeowner, could be 10,000, could be 15,000, or, even a $5,000 out of pocket, if you're paycheck to paycheck, that's a hard go, So I think a lot of these contractors that relied on storm work, it's going to be a tough road in the next 5 years.
Absolutely. Why do you think we have so many contractors? Is it the same reason? Yeah. You know what? I was actually getting there because I would say it's the same reason you got in business. So people see how much roofers make and they get attracted to it, right? Like I actually paint a picture of the roofing and stuff. I definitely contribute. I get a lot of hate for the computer. Oh, because of people like you, and we have too many roofers. I'm like, I educate them. If anything, I help people who's already in business. I'm pretty sure I motivated someone to start a business, but I think it's the money. I think it's the
Yeah.
lifestyle. Like,
Well, I mean, I think it's the money and the lifestyle, but it's also like, if you can get into this industry, and I mean, I think you've talked to quite a few different people because you were like, "Hey, I've never had to knock doors." I personally, I did have to go knock doors. All my business was door knocking, and then you would try to get the referrals from that business. And not many people would succeed in that. But if you did succeed, and then you saw the roofing company who literally gave you no leads, was just a bank account, and you would go find your own bill, meet the insurance adjuster, supplement your own claim, take care of collecting the check, quality control. You're like, why am I giving you half my money? I don't want to do this anymore. So then you go and start your own company. It's not until I saw like the Apple Roofings of the world, the Monarchs of the world, where these guys are actually taking care of their guys. They're setting them up for success. They have leads flowing in. They're like, here's a company truck, here's a card. I think if you did that, you'd have a lot more loyal people. But I just think there's so many companies that aren't run well. And who wants to work for that when you can just go do it yourself?
well, I also don't understand the message, of working less and making more. I feel like it's very popular one, right? Like because I feel like the whole like 4-hour work week, working on the vacation, like it's just it never sat well with me. There's so many people running company, so they don't have to work. Delusional, right? Like, how many hours as a business owner you put in to make it work?
Oh my God, Dimitri, man. This is the funny part, man, because I mean, I have work ethic, right? And that's almost kind of like a bad thing that I've had is I work so many hours. I mean, shoot, during the summer, I was waking up at 4:30 in the morning, and then I would get home at like 7:30, put my kids to bed, and then stay up on the computer to get everything ready for the next day, right? And that's good, but it's like, I didn't listen to your advice, and also, I didn't listen to Fox Haven, Andy Keys, like, "Hey, you need to have someone in the office helping you out." I just didn't have the finances and all the hats, but, like, people who say, "Yeah, I'm gonna start a company to work less hours," like, man, if you show me how you do that, like, I don't get it because I think yourself and, like, the Andy Keys and these other guys, like, you are a slave in your business for the first 2, 3 years so you have the money to start growing it, you know? I didn't I didn't wanna get stuck in the overhead problem, you know?
No, 100%. Uh, if you would have to guess, how many hours do you think average business owner puts in a week?
In roofing?
Yeah.
God, man, I would say the average business owner, 85 to 90. I don't like, depending on if it's a storm season, like in Colorado, I would say 85 to 90. I guess I could be wrong if they have a really good team behind them, you know?
Can you describe some activities? What do you do in those 80, 90 hours a week? Because when people think about roofing, it's like, oh, you just sign the jobs and you collect the payments. You just right? Because they see two transactions. You sell the job and you send a work order to some Hispanic crew, and then you collect the check. And people not okay with it. But what goes in between those two things?
Well, good God, man. I mean, first of all, you got to go out and get the business, right? So I would wake up in the morning, I'd watch a couple of videos, like what you would put out, and I'd be like, okay, I need to get my Google My Business. So you would, go on there and you're like, okay, I need to get some photos. I need to make some posts. And then I would go into my system, say, okay, I'm going to canvas this area. Okay, I got 2 leads in this neighborhood. I'm going to work in this neighborhood. Then you go out to that neighborhood. If you're lucky, hopefully a couple other people pull you aside. So then when you have some time to yourself, you start getting that company cam all linked up. You start making appointments for follow-ups because I don't like to just send an estimate off to someone. I like to present to them. I know that's controversial with a couple people that might like to do differently. So you're setting that up. You're still getting calls. I'm my own secretary, so I'm getting phone calls. I'm setting those appointments up. And then after that, you're doing adjuster meetings. So then meet with the insurance carrier who might be on time, might not be on time. And then you have a few more people calling in later that day. And so then you're going to their house. This house took an extra, 40 minutes because it's a big house. You get back home at the end of the night, you got to get those estimates prepared so that you can sit down and present to that homeowner, write down all the key notes that you have for each customer. And that's just the sales acquisition. That's not even when you are building the roofs. Once you start building roofs and you're building roofs and doing sales, I see why you guys say, "Hey, you're gonna have to hire somebody eventually." I'm killing myself.
I don't know how you do it. Like, I don't know how you do it. For me, a receptionist is right away. Is like, I tell people all the time, like, you cannot manage your calendar, you cannot manage your emails. It's too
Yeah.
work. I love Dan Martell Buy Back Your Time book, and I live by that book because I want my back time. Like, you can't spend. I feel like we should be getting paid like couple $100 an hour, but we're doing often $20 an hour tasks that you will never see it back. And for me, like receptionist is the money well spent. Like Louis right now does everything. And I was the same way back in 2013 when I had like 2013, I hired my first receptionist for my roofing company and my field guy Jesus, and 3 of us did $1.3 million a year because I was only meeting customers, providing estimates, selling, and he was managing jobs. We still would schedule I buy or I did like material placement and stuff, like big stuff. Like I'm making big decisions. One mistake. I mean, this morning I'm building a deck here at my new property, and my morning started with like materials. I can't just delegate it. Like if I delegate, actually, I went to the store, and I should maybe delegate it because they sent me the material list. They needed 12 more 2x8s, and I'm like 2x8s, like loading. So I loaded with a guy. Those are not very helpful guys there. And it was load up. And then it's like, and I'm looking at it, and it's been a while since I built a deck, right? I'm not an everyday contractor anymore. And I'm like, are these 2x8? He's like, it's 2x10. Just misread the label. Like, and we have like 12 of them or 16 of them. Said, well, can we move this card? I actually need 2x8s by 12s. So I got new card and a load. But I was this close bringing to my house wrong lumber.
Yeah.
That would be disaster. Anyway, and then I heard that my guys have a truck broke down, so nobody was working here. Anyway, it just contracting is hard. There's always something breaks. There's always mistakes. And I talked to a contractor in Arizona, and he said, I asked him, what was the most expensive mistake that he made? He said, a wrong color on the roof. And I asked him, who did that job? Who ordered? He's like, I did. So he's a business owner. He's like,
Yeah.
I remember talking to the homeowner about it. I remember discussing the color, and I put in writing the right one, but we discussed another one. So he relies on his memory, placed the order by phone with
Oh,
the
no.
wrong material. Like, and because we are too busy. When you are too busy, you will make mistakes. You have to delegate.
I've heard it from you, man, and obviously another big fan of yours, or like you're a fan of his as well, Andy Keys, and I listen to Andy talk, and he's just like telling me all the crazy stuff he did. And I'm like, man, I can see exactly what he started. But, the big thing, like I've learned so much from you. And it's like, for some reason, I can't take your advice on this. And it's like, I just told myself I'm too busy, man. I can't take the time to go and hire, a secretary and a site supervisor. So I'm just going to take it on. And I burnt myself out bad, and it's just like, okay, I know what I need to do. Cause just like you said, if I would have had a secretary taking care of the calendar, the phones, and the email, and have a site supervisor, I guarantee you I could have sold 2.5 million, a bare minimum. 2.5 would be a low end. But it's like what I did was decide to just kill myself, because hey, I'm saving overhead. But I think it's just a fear thing, man. I'll just be honest with you. I was just fearful.
Insecurity, fear. Yeah. No, I hear you. And because we're responsible for the people we hire. And one contractor years ago told me, it's like, why do you have receptionists? I said, "Well, because I can't live without her." And he said, "I'm saving money what you're paying on a receptionist." And I would argue with anyone that you're not saving; it's costing you not to have receptionist. Because also, I'm doing 4 million, he's doing 2 million. Like, how are you saving? I'm double your size with one more employee. Like, what gives? If you're saving, why are you not doing the same as we were in the same market, Minneapolis. It was local guy. Awesome, brother. Give one advice to someone who just getting started.
Somebody who's just getting started. Man, buckle up. But I would say there's so many people out there. But not to do a crazy plug, but I would say go to your roofing insight school, go through that. There's going to be some videos that probably hit with you, and some videos that don't hit with you. But take out of it what you like and what makes and make it your own. And then the beautiful thing about like your school and your algorithm is all of a sudden Google will start to throw you some similar people. And I leaped onto the Eric Renos and the Andy Keys. And I've taken the information in, but I would just say the biggest thing is action. Whatever you take in that you're like, man, right away. Don't just like think about it, write it down of I'm gonna to do list. Like there might be some things like maybe you can't wrap your truck right away. I get that. But things that you can actually action steps do, I would 100% take it upon yourself to do it. Whatever your mentor, people like yourself and these other guys do, just copy them, man. Like there's so much free info on the web.
I agree. Awesome, brother. Thanks for the shout out. Awesome story. Congrats and good luck with everything. Hit me up when you hire the receptionist and what difference it
Yeah.
make. I
We'll
can't.
see you in Florida, buddy.
All right. See you, man.
Hi, man.